Hello, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to Level Up Cleveland. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and notification buttons so you never miss an episode.
In part one of our two-part series, we talk with Angel Vasquez and DJ Smith of Bittersweet Revenge. This week, we'll discuss the band's beginnings and the life and passing of co-founder frontman Marc Kourcklas, a much-missed human being and local legend in the music community, and how they've all coped with the loss of their longtime friend. We have Bittersweet Revenge. I'm Big Bry. Level Up Cleveland starts right now. All right, everybody, and we are back for another episode of Level Up Cleveland. And today in the studio, we have with us the boys from Bittersweet Revenge.
Yo. Rockin'.
We have in here today Mr. Angel Vasquez.
What up?
He is the bass player for Bittersweet, and drummer DJ Smith. And both of these guys are basically founding members of the band.
Absolutely.
Almost, pretty much.
Yeah, basically, right. You guys are here pretty much from the start, and we have a lot to cover. Glad to have you guys on. Thanks for coming down. Awesome.
Glad to be here,
Thanks for
man. It's
having us.
So you guys are, I wanted to kind of go over something with everybody because we talk a lot about a lot of things. A lot of the bands that we've actually interviewed are from down here. So I kind of wanted to explain to people when we talk about certain things, what we're talking about. This is the building that we actually do our podcast at, where you guys actually are at. We're Signal Flow, what we just actually did not too long ago. We interviewed those guys are at, is Level 5. It's a building. A lot of bands are down here. That
Hallowed ground.
What's that?
Hallowed ground.
Yes, very much. You guys actually have the biggest room down here. It's like it's called a lot of things, but a lot of people will just say it's the big room, the warehouse. Mm-hmm. It's got a lot of names, but you guys actually have that room. It's got a private studio in it, really nice. So there's a lot of things when we talk about, we're like, oh, we're down here. I've noticed that throughout the episodes. We're down there, down here, that kind of thing. People really don't know what we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
So you guys are down here. You guys have the big room. And when we say it's a big room,
It's a good sized room.
yeah, if anybody's ever seen like a jam room or anything like
like
that.
a quarter the size of the whole second floor, I would say.
It's huge.
You know what I mean? Nice high ceiling and everything like that.
Yeah.
I love it in there.
Yeah,
so
and you
much.
guys built a nice stage in there. You built a nice bar in there.
Yeah.
So you guys are able to really have. It's
got a pool table in there. A
yeah,
real
it's
bar
like
pool
it's
table.
like a really nice layout.
It's fantastic, man.
So, I just wanted to make that clear because we're going to have a lot of conversations probably that pertain to all that. So just to make it, just to get that out there first. You guys are pretty heavy band. You know, it's not. I would say it's definitely not a thrash metal type of heavy, but definitely.
We always say that it's somewhere in between rock and metal, somewhere right in the middle. We have the more chill rock and roll vibes, but then it gets kind of aggressive
Kind
sometimes.
of have like a heavy side of heavy punk almost.
Pull that up a little closer to you.
We got a heavy side that's almost got like a lot of punk roots weaved in it, and you know, but we definitely stay soft a lot.
Through the years, you guys have been playing, and you guys have made your way up the ranks. You know, a lot of people might have seen Bittersweet play just playing out on their own, but they've also were opening there for Mushroom Head a few times more. Yeah, right. I mean, you guys were
mini
like
tours with them and stuff. Yeah, they're good friends of ours.
yeah, man, and so a lot of people may be aware of you through those shows, if nothing else, because those were pretty big shows.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, the biggest show we ever played was either a Halloween Mushroom Head show or a Christmas show. And there's almost a couple thousand people.
Unbelievable, enormous. It looks like a big ass crowd out there. You know, it's realistically what, like 2,000 people or something like that. I mean,
Yeah. Felt
but
like
that's
a
big.
million.
I mean, in
But to
the
see
realm.
that right in front of you, and every single one of these fans are like longtime Mushroom Head fans who are passionate just about loving music. You know what I mean? So when they like our stuff, they have conversations about our music with us. It's just so damn genuine, and you get that from such a large crew of just passionate music lovers, and
That's
I
cool.
love that. I love
Them
it.
guys are, full blown metalheads too.
Right.
We're not exactly metal music. We have like we said, some roots of it.
We got a couple baby
makers.
makers, to be honest. You know?
Yeah, right. Yeah. You could. They could be. Some of them could be. And you guys
all
actually
could
have some videos that go. I mean, you guys don't just have. I mean, you guys are opening for Mushroom Head. You've actually made some real music videos, not something that
Yes.
somebody did on their iPhone.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And you can see those on YouTube. I'll have all the links down
Yep.
in the description for all that stuff. But yeah, you guys got videos. People can check those out. You got a couple CDs that are out. You guys recently put an EP out not long ago. I mean, that's the most recent thing you did.
Yeah.
Are you guys recording anything now? Is anything in the works right now where you're doing anything?
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. So since Marc passed, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We got the new guy Mike and Tom to replace Marc. He'd get a kick out of knowing that it took two people to replace him.
Well, he would tell you it would take two people.
Yeah, for sure.
would,
And it still wouldn't be good enough.
Yeah.
Egotistic fucker. So since that, we had this idea what we were gonna do, but the way streaming is today, and making full records kind of isn't the way to do it anymore. Just you want to have consistent content, just dropping stuff. So we came up with this idea when Marc was alive to do a series of EPs to create one entire project. So you got 4 separate EPs, 5 tracks each, create 20 tracks. 4 separate,
Release points,
releases, 4 separate marketing opportunities for new merch, for, new artwork.
Yes.
And, so that fills up, a year or two
Definitely is
of just-
the way to go now.
just dropping stuff,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
staying relevant.
Exactly. I was just going to say
Basically a
that.
quarter of the way through that now with that first EP that's been released, So
What Jake was saying when he was in here with Signal Flow, he was telling us that you guys got on some playlists and it's really actually worked out for you. You guys getting a lot of plays and stuff like that from it.
Yeah, I mean, it's, we're not in the millions, not even in the hundreds of thousands, compared to other bands, especially some local bands that are doing really well, but we're doing good. I think what was it, Better Days, we're up to maybe almost 20,000 streams or something on Spotify.
Wow, that's good.
really great response to that song, man, And it's nice to be able to get the music in places where, we can't go to different states all the time, go to different countries and, travel all over the place. Where some
Especially
of these
now.
playlists, there's a lot of accessibility all over the place, and it's great to get our music out to places and hear real feedback that's passionate and, it's not made up that people like our stuff. It's good to get
Right.
Yeah, when you get on
feedback
these
that's
playlists,
unbiased,
legit.
you know what I
These
mean?
people
Yeah.
know you just from hearing you on on Spotify. It's so if they're listening to you, it's because they like you, not because they
Yeah.
like us. We got a pretty large friend group in the city here.
Oh, yeah.
And they support us hugely.
That's great.
We
So
can elaborate on that, yeah.
it's cool that we got our friends and people that like us go to our shows because they like us, but they also like our music. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But these people on on Spotify, they only like you because they like listening to your
Right.
shit.
You got to tap into that whole part of it where the people are for the first time hearing you. They don't even know you.
Right.
And so they hear the song and that's what keeps them on because now all they got to do is hit a button and that song is now no longer
Yeah.
playing and they can go on to the next one.
Yep.
So you're right. If you're getting a lot of them and people are hanging out and
Dust in
listening
the
to them.
wind after that.
Yeah. And it is like that.
But that's the biggest thing that I push with the guys is just content. Just keep recording because after losing, so I was in a band with a buddy of mine, Jimmy, and he went to prison and then he died in prison. While he was in prison, Marc and I started Bittersweet Revenge.
So how did you meet Marc, first of all? Is that you already knew Marc at that point?
I've known Marc since he was like 16 years old, 15 years old. So he was friends. My ex, she's my ex now. Marc was friends with her little brother. That's how I met Marc. But back in the day, like I said, Jimmy went to prison, ran into Marc again, and he had a room down here in level 5. And Marc was helping us, me and Jimmy, record before Jimmy went away. And then that all stopped, came down, ran into Marc again, like, hey, man, let's start jamming together. And it just was a 2-piece for a while. We wrote for a while, and then Angel came on. And but that's how BSR started.
When they're jamming, they wrote probably, what did you guys write, like 8 or 9 songs?
Yeah.
That was the first album, which was Untrustworthy.
Yeah.
And so they had like all these songs written, and they needed a bass player. And I was pretty much bored out of my mind at this point because I was in bands, but they were kind of just, they faltered out and people couldn't commit to the time. And everything that is difficult about starting a band and keeping 4 personalities together or 5.
I talk about it all the time on
It's
this
so
show.
hard, It's so hard. It's amazing that you can keep a band together.
Dude, it's like being in a relationship with a bunch of dudes and no sex.
So
Yeah,
these guys
man.
need a bass player. They had all these cool.
It is. It's
You got to cater everybody's
Yeah, and everybody's
emotions
got
and shit.
egos and everybody's got their needs
They
and
get all.
when you can
attributes to
find
the
4
art.
guys that don't, that's when the band will actually stay together for some time. And you can
Angel makes the sandwiches.
That's right. Extra mayo.
Lots of mail.
Yeah, dude. So so they had 8 songs written or so for Untrustworthy. I think I joined the band. I was bored. I needed something to do, and so I bought a bass rig.
So you were a guitar
Bass
player
guitar.
at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I was into playing 8-string guitars and like
Oh.
technical metal shit, really fast stuff. I love all kinds of music, man. I love like soul music, whatever. I like it all. But they needed a bass player, right? So it was time for me to step up and actually get a bass rig. So I got the cheapest shit I could afford, and from there, it was like learn these songs quick, but they were rather simple kind of progressions, and so I caught on to them quick, and I brought like a lot of spunky personality to the
you
stage
did.
performance and the faces and the
You have a good
dancing.
stage presence.
Man, I only got 4 strings, you know what I'm saying? So I got to do something with the rest. I got to really kind of shine.
Yeah.
And make this more of a show because it's entertainment. It's not just listening, you know what I mean? It's a part of the showmanship to have something fun to
strings.
connect with. Yeah, 4 strings.
You
what
you
the
got to
hell
do
do
more
I do
stuff
with
when
4
you only got 4 strings.
then-
I'm used to 8 strings on the guitar, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. So you got you're 2 less than you were used to before. And
Exactly.
if it's a 12 string, it's a lot less.
Right.
So you guys, when did Jake join up then? So Jake comes into the picture at what point? How does that happen?
That was it. We were about a year in, and then we realized we needed another guitar because Marc could only do so much while he's singing.
Yeah.
Marc's a great guitar player, but fuck, you can't do.
Yeah, something's gonna give.
Have those
So
big
we brought in Jake.
choruses.
Brought in Jake to hold some rhythm, and Marc, so gives Marc some free time to do more crazier
I can
shit.
drop off the guitar, which also adds an element of swagger.
Yeah.
When somebody can just stop playing guitar, act cool, and
Walk
you
up
just
to the
hear
mic.
guitar coming from one side, and it adds cool elements to have 2 guitar players. We had to have it. Jake is a longtime friend of mine. I met him when I was 19, so it's about 10 years ago now. We were in those technical metal bands and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
He was bored enough to have time for us. So
And
it's
it
great.
had to help when you got. I mean, we all knew Marc even before Bittersweet. You
Yes,
know what I
we
mean? When he was
all
down here
knew
and stuff,
Marc.
and he was so obsessed. He's one of the most obsessed musicians I think I was ever around for a period there. Where
Basically a
he was
madman.
just living down here
He loved
basically,
it.
and just like and he was learning how to
he
record
wasn't-
it. He actually got pretty good at recording music. I mean,
Yeah, if he wasn't obsessed with playing, he was obsessed with recording,
Yeah.
or he's a super
he would become
gear
obsessed
nerd.
with one thing and he'd try to perfect it. He would just until he got it.
It's nearly impossible to do both.
And
You
he had to
find
do
your
it like
hands tied all
a
different
week,
ways.
like
Yeah.
it was like I gotta do it, and then to get Jake, to have his recording, knowledge
Yes,
too,
like two
to have that in your band,
masterminds.
that's pretty valuable to have
Yes.
stuff like that where people understand sound and they understand things
Dude,
other
both,
than
both of them guys are just absolute monsters
Wizards, man.
at
Total wizards.
at recording. And Jake, he's just took the vocals because he does a lot of recordings with hip hop guys, so it's mostly
Vocals,
vocal
yeah.
based stuff. And there ain't nobody in the whole city that could touch him. And I'll say that, I'll wear that right on my chest. Nobody
Yes.
can.
Nice.
There's nobody that can record vocals like him, dude. He's lightning fast, and he's just a fucking master at
There's
it.
nobody faster than this guy, man. You should have watched him work.
Hey guys,
We're
we're gonna
getting
take a
yelled at.
break, and then when we come back, more from Bittersweet Revenge, everybody.
Want to be a guest on Level Up Cleveland? Go to levelupcleveland.com and submit a guest application or call 1-888-626-9277, extension 0. Leave your name, the name of your band or your performing act, phone number, email address, and briefly tell us why you would be a good guest on Level Up Cleveland. We would love to have you on.
All right, everybody, and we are back with Level Up Cleveland, Bittersweet Revenge. And we have been talking here with Angel and DJ. I wanted to get into some of the stuff that happened to the band prior years. It's been a couple years now, about, right? 2 years? First of all, anybody that's familiar with the band and has seen some of their albums, the second album is Break 'Em. And on the album cover, you'll see a guy on there. He was known as Pops. He actually was DJ's Pops in real life. He would be considered, like, at the time, the first fifth member, I guess you would say, of the band. He was with them all the time. He was down here all the time. Nobody flew the flag.
You said it right.
Like
man.
Pops. He was all about Bittersweet. He was definitely a cool guy, man. Very cool guy. He did pass away.
Liver cancer.
Liver cancer.
You
guys took him on a trip, though. Didn't you guys take him on a cool trip right before that, though? Like,
So Pops, believe it or not, Pops never flew on an airplane. And so when we found out, we were in the doctor's office, and he found out, he was terminally ill, and the doctor told him he had 7 weeks to live. And we were both blown away, and naturally, we were pretty upset. Like, all right, well, what do you want to do, Pops? Fuck it, we're gonna. They said a few months at the time.
Bucket list type thing, right?
So what do you want to do? He said, well, takes me back. Jimmy, when he died, his mom was going to give him an RV that she had, and he, for our band, but he was obviously in prison. He died in prison. And she said, I can have it right after he died. She was like, Jimmy would want you to have the RV. Just come down to Florida and pick it up. So I asked Pops, I said, what do you want to do, Pops? He said, let's go down there and get that RV. So, all right. So we flew down, went on an airplane, had a vacation, me and Kenny Easterly and Mondo. And, we had a good vacation. We road tripped the RV back, and that's what we did, man. We fucking kicked the fuck out of it in the RV. Had a good time.
Awesome, man. Now, when you say Kenny Easterly,
yeah,
that's not his dad. You're talking about the son, the junior, right? Because
Right.
there's a lot of people who are going to know, and they hear the name Kenny Easterly.
Yep.
If you're my age,
Him
you're
and
going to
Pop-
think of Dad.
That's right.
Him
yeah.
and Pops were super tight.
Yeah,
Pops
he's
loved
and
Kenny.
the
Pop
kid
loves loved all these guys like they were his sons, but he was close to Kenny. He was real close to Kenny Jr.
Yeah, he was a great guy. So then, not long after this happens, not even long after that, that's when Marc passes away.
Oh, so,
and that is so sudden and so.
So Jimmy died in May or March or May, one of the M's, I don't remember. And then Pops died in July, and then what was it? The following September of the next year, Marc died.
Next year, right, yeah.
So fuck.
Just a little over a year. A
little over a year, man. 3 of my closest guys. Boom, 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 boom.
Life threw you a test, man.
Oh, it was a rough one.
Indeed.
Yeah, and I mean, and to be honest with you, like, most people don't make it through this. I mean, if you guys have that much that happens, and especially in that amount of time, a lot of people are going to just
kind of throw in a towel. And
or start over somewhere else. Or a lot of people just lose interest in music. A lot of people are just like, you know what?
So we all asked ourselves, there was a lot of questions, what we were going to do. Like, what should we do? And we could only go off of what we know we would want, right? Because Marc wasn't there to say what he would want. So, but what would we want? I asked all the guys individually, if it was you in Marc's shoes, would you want us to keep going? Would you want us to keep the name Bittersweet Revenge? Do we keep this train rolling? Do we figure out, something to do with this, or do we start something new? And it was a tough decision, and we didn't fully make the decision. It was some months. It took us some months to really figure out what we were going to do.
Right.
And but Marc, I think he would be happy knowing that we stayed together and we kept the name. And
it was part of, it was a.
So that's what I would want. That's what Angel would want. We all agreed. Right. Let's keep this fucking train going.
You're making the legacy proud.
Yeah, he had a lot to do with Bittersweet Revenge to begin with. I mean, it was a big part of him. He made it a big part of him.
Of course.
So it was, in his eyes, it was probably like a baby to him.
Who are you talking about, Marc?
Marc.
Well, Marc and I started Bittersweet.
That's what I mean. He was obsessed with it also. He loved being in this band.
Oh, for sure.
So for him to say, You know, he just lived. Marc just lived.
See.
He just lived. He had a fun. He lived that way. Marc lived the way Marc lived, and
Marc, like I said, Marc died in that September from it was a motorcycle accident. He was, what was he, 30 or 31?
31, I think.
Yeah, 31 years old. He just started getting into motorcycles, and him and Tommy, which is our current guitar player, they've been best friends since they were little kids. They Tommy got a Harley, and Marc had a Harley, and they went on a big ride, you know, down almost West Virginia, down in Athens or somewhere, as I think where it happened. They were riding, you know, woke up in the morning, they were just enjoying the country roads, and, you know, Marc just got a little overzealous, I believe, on a turn, and that's how it happened.
really,
Yeah.
Tommy caught up to him on the motorcycle.
Yeah,
ride,
no,
and-
Tommy was in front of him, actually, and seen he wasn't behind him anymore and went back and found him. So it was pretty traumatic for Tommy. He was, it was really tough for
his
him.
best friend since he was a kid, you know what I mean? But
wow.
Tommy's really championed through it and found a lot of ways to keep himself
Yeah,
happy and, you know.
Yeah, with that, it was only the right choice. Tommy is a phenomenal guitar player, and him and Marky are so much alike. They even look alike, almost, kind of, you know. And
They
then
do.
Tom
dude.
takes his shirt off on stage. Listen to this story, right?
Weird, man.
When we first decided to get together with Tom, we were jamming. It was like our first or second practice. It was the first practice we ever had that like connection where shit was going well in practice, right? And we're what's the word I'm looking for? Where you're just vibing, right? Where the chemistry just vibing, and everybody in the band
everything's in a
knows
zone, and everything's just gelling together. It's
anybody
all
that
flowing.
plays music with somebody
I know
knows
what you
what
mean.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So as soon as that started to happen, all the guys are facing me. I'm on the little drum riser in the big room, and everybody's facing me, and I'm playing the drums. As soon as it started going good, the fucking lights started flickering behind Tom, and I'm trying to point him like, you see that? And Jake looks over, and Jake's like, fucking got his jaw dropping. I'm like, look, Tom's like, what? He's trying to turn it. I'm like, no, like, but I'm trying not to fuck the song up as we're practicing.
Right.
You don't wanna do
And
that.
I'm like, and then Tom had no clue what we were talking about. I'm like, dude, did you see that? Like, as soon as the song stopped, Jake was like, I seen it. Like,
That's
was
not
fucking
something
insane.
that's ever
Like,
happened.
Yeah, you get the
know,
goosebumps.
it really
and
happened.
not all the lights, because I know the electricity in this whole building is weird. Like, shit goes off all the time. But it was just that one fucking lamp right next to Tommy just starts flickering. And
That's
he's
appalling.
an actual electrician.
I know he actually came down here when we built this and helped us.
I
Oh,
installed
shit.
the receptacles over here.
Yeah, but that was pretty sweet, man. When that happened, I'm not saying there was some paranormal Marc was there or anything kind of shit, but
I think it was there. You know what I mean?
There you go.
I felt his
Well,
energy, and
it was
I'm going to
just-
go with
it
it.
was just a
and
cool
it made
thing.
me happy.
Well,
to have him
timing
visit.
is, some things can be coincidence, but that was kind of an odd timing for it to just happen.
Sure, man.
When you
know
feel
what I mean?
that feeling, and he's like, he's down there, he's up there going, yeah, me too, I feel it.
Up
what the
there,
hell?
down there, who
Yeah,
the hell
I
knows?
feel it with you.
It was
All right,
nuts.
you guys are right.
you didn't see it, did you, Ainge? Right?
Yeah.
You did.
Oh, yeah,
did
I
you
was-
see the light flickering, or
Yeah, I
was
was
it just me and
next to
Jake?
it for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I don't. Look at us sitting here talking about a fucking flickering light.
So I wanted to say this too. So then after Marc passes, and word gets around that Marc's passed away. Pat told me how I found out. It wasn't long after that. Pat sends me this link, and he says, you got to check this movie out on YouTube. It's called Hall of Fame.
Oh God, he
As a matter
would
of
be
fact,
so
I
mad.
wrote it down.
He
would be-
would truly do it.
If you when you look it up, if you put Hall of Fame free movie on YouTube, I'll put the link in the description so
Dude,
everybody
listen,
can watch
Good,
this.
because I wasn't able to find it after a while.
He hid this movie from
we got
everybody.
a song.
didn't
We
he?
got a song called Hall of Fame, and he managed to never bring it up. Like how the
Movie,
fuck?
right.
And it had nothing to do
Unbelievable.
with each other. Marc didn't name the song. I named the song Hall of Fame.
Really, and he never said nothing.
Never.
Well, I watched.
Man,
Did you? You guys have obviously watched the movie since
Yeah,
then,
it's
right?
pretty
Oh, yeah, I
embarrassing.
found out
It's
about
fun.
That's
it.
why he didn't want anybody to know. It's not. I mean, listen. I've seen worse. I'll tell you that
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
for
I
sure, but
watched
he was-
worse movies.
It ain't a
He
bad.
was young.
No.
He was young when
He's
he
so
filmed that.
young in that movie, and it's so marked still, though. It's still it is, dude. You can actually, you're like, there.
curly locks of hair, man.
It's wild movie.
Dude, Marc was the man. Did you guys know that it was shortly after I met him, driving up my street, there was a fucking gremlin for sale. Like a
car, the car?
Yeah, a white gremlin. He's like, I gotta have that. Next thing you know, he shows up with this gremlin. And he's like, yeah, I'm taking off. I'm going to California. And
In the
back
gremlin.
yeah, dude, he just decided to pack up and move away to California with nowhere to go, no connections or nothing. Goes to California and is walking down the beach in Venice. and just find some dude that owned like a weed dispensary or something. He was like, hey, can I work with you? And just lived in the house. He lived right on the boardwalk in Venice for like a year or two or some shit before he
You
came
ever
back.
been there?
No.
Oh, it's quite the culture over there, man. I got the
Yeah,
chance
it's
to see
crazy.
it twice in
So
my life.
he would stand outside and just get people to come into to the dispensary. And that's what Mark did for like 2 years. That's the type of
You
dude
meet a
Mark
lot
was.
of people out
And
there
that
in
was-
that kind of situation.
And that was well before Bittersweet. We're talking
Well,
like
yeah, years and years before Bittersweet. But yeah, it packed up and drove through the fucking
That must have been 10,
Rocky
12
Mountains
years
in a
before.
Gremlin. He said it barely made it.
yeah, he's like an adventurous dude. Like he was
Yeah,
just like he would try
thrived
anything.
on adventure,
Yeah,
for sure.
excitement, like that kind of thing. Awesome dude. He was a great songwriter. He had
Yes.
awesome ideas. He was always the dude was always coming up with
Yeah, he
stuff.
was
He
Man,
had a
we miss
strong fire burning, man. Always. You know what I mean? Always inspiring to be around him. And
Yeah, he's one of the coolest dudes I ever met.
He really
like
was.
Fonzie cool. Not
Well,
just
and you know
cool
what?
as a person. He was like actual cool. You know
Yeah,
what
and
I mean?
he always stayed cool with everybody. He was always like he'd always talk to everybody the same all the time. I never really had it was always the same with Mark. Every time I talked to Mark, I got the same dude. He was real nice. He'd fuck around with you a little bit, but hey man, it was fun. I always liked talking to Mark.
Yep.
There's another guy, I don't know if you guys know who Bernie Hansel is.
I don't.
Bernie Hansel is the singer of a band called Made in America, Sabbath's Priest, a bunch of bands.
Oh, okay.
Really good vocalist. And he's a teacher, a music teacher. And I was asking Mark, literally not long before he passed, I was like, you ever heard of Bernie Hansel? And he's like, Bernie Hansel? He's like, that's my guitar teacher. So that was the guy that actually taught him how to play guitar, I guess, he said, in Medina.
hell, I never knew Mark had a guitar teacher, honestly.
He keeps a lot of secrets.
Thanks.
But that movie definitely was we were just tripping
It's
on that
funny,
thing,
man.
You should
because
have
he's
seen
like
it.
the star of the movie too. It's not like the movie's really about him.
Exactly.
It is.
And he plays it off as if he was never in any kind of movie.
And when he's making that movie, he's not really involved in music or anything at that time. Really, is he? Is he in a band?
No,
or
I mean,
anything?
he was in bands since he was a kid. Like, he played
Oh,
in bands with
okay.
Tommy and
Since
his
he was
brothers.
like 13, I want to say.
Well, he's definitely older than 13 in that movie.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, but they got
18 in that
scenes where he's
movie.
walking down the street with a fucking
Yeah, with a
flying V.
Gibson.
Listen,
Right.
that was the only thing he took to California with him in that Gremlin. He had this white flying V.
No shit.
And
About the
listen, he
coolest
played
guitar
that
you can
thing.
own.
I remember when I first met him, and like I said, my ex's little brother, Eric, he introduced me to him. He was like, showing him off and shit. Mark was so fast. Like, he was into thrash metal back then. He's got Megadeth and Metallica
Oh, yeah.
tattoos and shit.
Oh, yeah.
And then his fucking hands were.
His right hand was real quick.
So quick,
Yeah.
man.
It was good stuff.
Yeah, man. We definitely miss Mark, man. There's no doubt about
yeah.
it.
Miss him a lot.
Yeah, he had such a like we were saying, he had a phenomenal stage presence. He really could control that middle spot on the stage well. He had it under control.
Oh, he owned it.
Yeah,
you
he
know
had
how
it
many-
under
You know how many guys in
control.
really big bands? We've played with a lot of big bands, and dudes would just be like, "How do I fucking follow that?"
Well, that's the
They
thing
would
about
say
you
it,
guys,
like,
right? You guys
how
go-
do you follow that?
You guys go out there to kill, though. That's what it's about. Even though your friends
right.
and everybody's
Guns
stuff,
are
they're
loaded.
trying to kill you. I mean, there's no question about it.
Yeah,
When anybody goes out there, if there's another band around, it's
You're out
smell
for it.
them, man. It's like,
respect for man. Yeah, for sure that exists, man. You know.
And that's what makes the show so good.
You take my better days. Just take your time while we get our space. While I drift off into better days. Just take your time while we get our space. While I drift off into better days.
Thanks for watching another episode of Level Up Cleveland. We hope you enjoyed it. Check out the links in the description below for all things Bittersweet Revenge and Level Up Cleveland. And you can hear part 1 of the entire interview on the Level Up Cleveland podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. Join us next week for part 2 of our talk with Bittersweet Revenge. Level up, everybody!
That'll be fine.